This is the GroWTF podcast, a growth podcast of HOG Klaus-M. Hi, my name is Klaus-M, and I'm co-founder and head of growth of Usersnap. In the GroWTF podcast, I want to share with you the successes, but more the failures and learnings from growing our B2B SaaS company as a co-founder and as a head of growth. In the last years, I was and I am still confronted with all kinds of challenges from growing our product, company, and our team. Also, I want to become a successful head of growth since I joined a growth agency some years ago. And this podcast should be the platform to share my experiences about what worked and what not. So what is this company I'm working in? Usersnap is a feedback platform that helps businesses to build better, more successful products and services with user feedback. A bit about myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and in the last 20 plus years, I co-founded 3 companies within the tech marketing industry. 2 of them got acquired, one by Atlassian. Let's start with today's podcast. But before that, don't forget to subscribe on iTunes for this podcast or sign up on GroWTF, so it's GroWTF.com to stay connected. This will bring you 7 years of good luck. Today's episode of the GroWTF podcast goes around how to set up your B2B SaaS sales process. And with me is my good friend and colleague, Luka. Hi, Luka.
Hi, Klaus. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, that's great. So you're actually the first real participant of the podcast. Before that, I always talk to myself. So this time, I hope we have a great conversation.
I'm honored.
So yeah, let me maybe start with one question. So what gets you out of bed in the morning?
Well, I think I discovered for my 27 years that one thing I'm super, let's say, passionate about is helping people solve their problems. So, in every sphere of their life.
That's great. That's great. Cool motto, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, what we want to do today is we want to discuss what we experienced in or what we're experiencing in our SaaS, B2B SaaS company, Usersnap, from a sales standpoint. And we prepared quite some insights for you. And let's jump into our, so where we're coming from and where I'm always starting with a kind of a view on the problem. Yeah. So one problem was when to set up a sales process and when to hire a sales team. Yeah, this is something which I had to focus on when I joined Usersnap. And maybe first of all, we should discuss what is a SaaS sales process. Yeah. Apart from that, the word is already hard to pronounce. So because there is for a B2B SaaS company with a product, the software product, there is a lot of involved from the company, a lot of people, a lot of teams, and the customers, moving, or the potential customers are moving through a long journey until they hopefully buy at the end. And so maybe Luka, you can tell me a bit what you think about what is a SaaS sales process.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Klaus, for saying that. So basically, in my opinion, the SaaS sales process is an ideal process that you and your customers go through, right, together to buy your product. So many people think that just having a sales process means, having a CRM and different deal stages, and then, passing deals from one stage to another one, and that's it. I have a perfect sales process. But actually, as you know, and as we tested at Usersnap, it's not like that. So that's just one part of the game. So you need definitely to align in your sales process the need of the customer with the product value along, let's say, their whole customer journey. So at the end, when they subscribe, when they become your customers, that you really give them value that they can leverage on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good definition. I think you're sometimes more a researcher than a sales guy.
Yeah, it has to be, right? Researching skills are, I think, also part of the sales game.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe there is like from what I experienced when I joined Usersnap, and yeah, uh, trying to understand how much sales is it, how much marketing is it, and I stumbled upon quite some topics when in the beginning, and this was especially from this sales process. As you said, this is the whole journey, and the whole journey not only involves like salespeople as in some other industries, but there is also a lot of like going on from marketing and customer success and growth hackers and so on and so forth. And then the question is, okay, when should you move on? When should you move a lead or a prospect to the salespeople? This was something I had to think about in the beginning, because we have a lot of inbound leads, and then it was not clear when to take over as a salesperson. Especially, there's another topic on problem I stepped on was like, okay, Usersnap is kind of a low touch product, so it's easy self-service, or at least this is something everybody dreams of. Do we need salespeople? Can we just sell it automatically? Yeah, some marketing automation. So this is something I also had to decide on. And since you joined the team, we see how I decided for it. Also how to build up a sales process, as this is a multi-step area, and what is important when. This is one of, I think, the hardest topics and hardest parts, because people are in different stages. They have different needs. There are different triggers at different points of time, and then was not clear how to set it up, that we know what to do in which stage. And apart from that, I think also the finding the right metrics. What is the North Star for sales, for the sales team? When they have the whole growth team with marketing, sales, and growth, but when you look at the salespeople, what should they focus on? Do they have separate metrics or not?
How you can evaluate them, right? How to evaluate the results? Should you hire more for
exactly
these unique metrics?
Exactly. How much should one salesperson bring in? This is all things then you have to think on, and how much do you build a sales team with all like focusing on sales. I had that in my previous companies, but that was focusing on professional services, and the sales team took over everything. And I believe that for a SaaS company, it's different. There's also like we joked about it. It's like researching, how much research does sales do? Because often you hear that sales brings in biased opinions, but as you are on the front to the customer, I think you're one of the the first people who can do research. And then last but not least, there is this one moment where you can present what your product can do. And this is the sales demo. And I'm happy that we can also jump on that train, because I can remember when I started and there was a presentation. We just said, hey, hi, okay, let's jump. Here is our presentation. And then we gave the full demo on what the product can do. And at the end said, okay, thanks, time is over.
I will get back to you. That's
exactly. And then like kind of, oh my gosh, okay, that I think we can do better on that. So this is when there was a point in time. First I tried to follow what was there existing, and then I thought, no, we should like start from scratch. And so my objective then was, okay, set up a new SaaS sales process for Usersnap. And this is also when I got in touch with you and you joined. I'm happy for that. I think we changed quite a lot until now. There is a lot still on the road, but so maybe you can go a bit into what you think. When should sales take over from marketing, Luka?
Sure. Thanks a lot. I mean, there's a lot of questions about this, and we internally discussed when should sales take over. But the thing that we need to think about is, not all leads are sales leads. And what I mean by this is we cannot simply pass all the leads that we have, in our funnel to leads, because some of them are qualified, some of them are not qualified. And what happened to me also, when I approached the unqualified leads, they don't answer. And then I have that feeling, oh, these leads are crap, right? So if I have that feeling, it really psychologically, it triggers me. So I don't have any more that open mind and say, oh, maybe they were unqualified, maybe this lead is not the right fit for us, or maybe they are qualified. Because at the end of the day, I have that opinion that, they're all crap, they're all bad. So I think the first thing that we focused, and what we did and what others should do who are in the similar position, is to focus on the ideal client, right? Who that is, who is that persona, build a couple of buyer persona around it, and then do the qualification, right? So for example, what problem this, or where they are coming from which country, how many people are in their company, what is their position. And once you have that information, you can start going through your existing channel and finding those leads, right? Those qualified leads, those are more likely to become your ideal customer. At that point, what you have to do is, right, you need to segment. Segmentation is the key. Just to make sure that you are spending, the right time on the excellent leads. What happened to us, and with some, inbound campaigns, when we don't focus on this sort of group, when we don't follow patterns, we end up with some campaign and low open rates, low reply rates, no conversion. And this is just because of that, because we really don't focus on the right segment, the right customers. So in my opinion, having the segmentation is the key to be successful in that. Regarding the leads in themselves, so you want to focus actually on two things. One is fit. So when you're taking over, for example, for marketing, you want to make sure that those leads fit to your ideal customer profile. And if someone signs up for a free trial, and if they already provided some information like the company size, the known email address, at Usersnap, whenever we receive a Gmail or unknown email address, it's not that likely they will convert. But if you receive those information and any other information that fit the ideal customer profile, that's maybe a signal for sales attention. Mm-hmm. And other than that, later on during their stage, if they show certain interest, if they request an ebook, if they book a demo, if they are, let's say in our case, Usersnap, if they create certain number of feedback items, what we do is that that sparks an interest. They become like active leads, and we match that together, and that's the signal that we should approach them and take them over. Mm-hmm. So to answer this question, finally, when should sales take over for marketing? From my experience, they should do it as early as possible. But what I mean by as early as possible, once we identify, right, who our ideal customer is, and once we know that, for example, a new lead has some patterns that could potentially fit the ideal customer profile, sales should take over, right? They should give that human touch to them. Send them an email, give them a call, ask them, is everything okay? Give them a personal demo. I think this thing matters, and especially now when everything is digital, when people are working remotely, having someone to talk to about your problems and how they can help you solve them is the key at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes, I can totally agree to that. Personal conversations can change also the perception of a certain product, and yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So when we step to another problem we had, and especially I had, in the beginning, is like, okay, do I need a salesperson? I have.
Of course you do.
Yeah, that's right. No, but this was really something we built the team, and I had to also, where do I focus my resources, also financial resources? Is a salesperson like, is it the right moment in time also for us? And as I initially said, you're dreaming always about this self-service company and self-service product, so you don't need any human touch in that. Just like going on the conveyor belt, and at the end it's sold. You don't have to do anything, all automated. I also looked at that from a theoretical perspective, or theoretical in terms of there are certain models out there, and it starts kind of also with either the how much touch you have, so how much how like there are no touch or low touch or mid touch and high touch products. And also I found this nice graphic which goes from the complexity of the product versus the other part of the graph is the price. So when the complexity is low and the price is often low, then it's probably a self-service, because if the product is just $9 per month, then you cannot afford that a salesperson is selling individual deals. If it goes up in price because you have a transactional product, it depends. It can sometimes be interesting. Complexity stays low, like I don't know, some API products that just volume increases and you get more money. You maybe still don't need a salesperson. And the more the complexity goes up and also the price goes up, then we go into this typical enterprise model, and from there you definitely need some sales people, because they have to explain and even develop the sales, maybe the pricing model for the customer. So from our standpoint, it was kind of an also experiment, because we are more on the low touch, a bit transactional, a bit enterprise area. So somewhere in between, more on the self-service area. But my idea was, and this is especially, let's say, if you're in an earlier phase, also with new products, and we are adding a lot of new functionality. Salespersons are not only salespeople; they are also researchers and kind of customer success. And as I said, this human touch, and you already mentioned it, I think this trumps a lot. So you can bring so much valuable insights when you have salespeople, if they're included in the marketing growth team and they're working together, like in an agile cross-functional team. This helps you so much to you get so much feedback back to the marketing team. They can tweak the messages, and there are people, and this is my last thing I want to say on that, and this was also the reason why I decided to hire someone like you, and also maybe scale the team later on, is that there are people who don't read too much. They either get the product immediately and then they want to talk to someone because they want to see, are my needs covered or not? Tell me. I don't want to read. And for these people, it's very important to have someone to talk to.
And I would love, regarding, just to stick to one thing here, maybe some people, don't understand, are not familiar with like these sales models. So would you mind just giving an example of like what's transactional and what's like self-service model?
So self-service for me is in kind of, let's say, Calendly. Calendly with their $10 per person models, and I think for $10 per month you cannot hire salespeople. If you have transactional, what I meant before is like an API-based system where you're starting small, and I know some company in Austria where they're validating addresses and phone numbers, etc. And it just goes on volume. There is the complexity doesn't increase if you have more requests on the API based. So on that end, it's also hard to have a salesperson there and explain, and because everything is clear. But the more it goes from the complexity to the right, and it then becomes soon enterprisey, and then it's like Salesforce, where you need maybe even a consulting or implementation company who even builds your CRM for you, on the platform, and then you need salespeople. So from my perspective,
that makes sense. That makes total sense.
if we jump to the next topic we had, is especially like this sales process. Yeah, how do we set up? How can you set up this sales process? And I think you gained some quite interesting insights from the last month and years. Yeah, maybe you can talk about that. How would you set up a good sales process?
Yeah, so basically when I joined Usersnap, at that point, we didn't have that much things developed regarding sales. But the first thing what I would do, I mean, what we did when I joined Usersnap, is that we should start with sort of research, right? So I cannot just join Usersnap and start selling our platform, feedback platform, to anyone I think that might be relevant to, right? But the first thing what we need to do, and what we did, we discussed cross internally. So we discussed with our growth team, with the product team, found that ideal persona. And then we set up the basis, right? We did a research. We had also researched our competitors. We saw their offerings, just so we can become familiar with it. Later on, when we have all those presentations, when customers reach out to us and mention the competitors, so we can know, what we can say, what's our unique value proposition. So starting with sort of research, understanding the problem of the customers, how that problem impacts them and what's the root cause of it, that's super important to start. And that's something I think we did successfully. At that point, for the sales process, so let's say once you start with, once you had all that information, you should consider prospecting. And by prospecting, I mean not just doing outbound, and finding the relevant prospects, right, the relevant leads, but also going through your existing funnel, right, to your existing signups, and then trying to understand which ones are most likely to convert and reach out to them, right? And when I say this, reach out to them, and as you know, we did a lot of experiments, like, okay, which email works, we use different copywriting skills. So, okay, if I use this subject line, this increases the open rate. This body, this call to action increases the click-through rate. So really with this one, you need to practice and experiment a lot in order to have some better results. And at that point, after the prospecting is done, you might get lucky and get some demos, right, with those people. And what we did in that case is that during those calls, it's not just easy, to present your solution and expect that they will sign up just because they, that they will subscribe just because they signed up, because they want to test it, and that's it. So in this fourth step, in the discovery and proposing, you really want to focus, and what we did, on uncovering the needs. So what is the real need? Why you signed up? So what you want to achieve? And the main problem that they say, in our case, if they want to collect more bugs, or collect more feature requests, for example, if they're a SaaS company, right? We want to collect more feature requests from our users, or we want to see how our users are satisfied with our platform. At that point, you need also to understand, is this the real problem behind it, or is there something else involved? Maybe their team, maybe they are just producing, maybe they are product oriented, and they don't want to listen, to the customers. They just ship features, they don't validate them. So maybe this is something that should be tackled first, and that's why this proposing part is about, determining, are we the right fit? Do we have the right solution for them?
So you should not propose to every customer.
Exactly, because not every customer is a happy customer and right, a profitable customer. So other than that, during the sales process, there are some objections that has to be handled. So what and you also, I think, experienced that a lot, is, they mentioned, oh, you have competitors, why are you better? Or, why are you so expensive at that point? So if you can, and this is something we tackle, it's having sort of a list, or just, learning what objections you usually get asked, and then learning how to answer these objections is super important for sales, right? When you onboard new team members, new colleagues, they must be aware of this and have it somewhere. So when they ask, for example, you are too expensive, you need to handle that. Expensive compared to what, right? And then they ask, to a competitor, they're much cheaper. Then you need to clarify, okay, but is this the only thing that that, let's say, that helps you making decision? Is there anything else involved in this process? Then if the price is the only trigger, then maybe you will offer a discount, or maybe if you are not using discount, some additional features, adding a value to their deal. Now, on the other side, if the price is not the only factor influencing the pricing, maybe in that case, you can, let's say, reroute the whole conversation and then sell on the features that you have. Those are unique, right? So I think this objection handling is super important for a sales process. After objection handling comes like trade and commit. Trade and commit means basically, this is about sending proposal, discussing quotes with the customers. And as you know, in the past, I most of the time send quotes via emails. And like, I think many deals, they just, they didn't subscribe. So after, we watched those podcasts with Kevin Dorsey and so on, they suggested that we should discuss in person the quote, right? Just because we can see their reaction and we can adjust it. And I think this is quite useful, quite insightful, and yeah, that help us, I think, convert more customers.
I can remember the customer. I think it was just a few weeks ago where they, in the call, they gave us the impression that they are super huge and they want to be treated like a big enterprise, and then they like ask for a lot of things, and we put that into the offer. And when we had the conversation, so we didn't send it to them, although it took very long until they had a follow-up call. And when we showed them the offer, you saw that it was not what they were expecting, and then you have a chance to react and to make the best out of the situation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, that happens. I mean, we had, I think, quite many cases like that. So with a customer where we offered, for example, a quote, and then, they start sort of complaining like this is too much. But then if you remind them of their problem, okay, but are you aware that you, for example, you're spending this much time on taking care of and handling all the feature requests that you get in your spreadsheets, or all the bugs, then you can really remind them that they really have a problem, and this maybe is not the price that they should. It's not a high price for a solution for that. So that's why having that call is, or let's say discussing that in person, is so vital to this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and after that we come to the last two things, that is at the end of your sales process, after you, let's say, close the deal, or after, right, if the deal is not successful, that happens too, right? Then you have to like either follow up, and follow-ups are important. I think, and what we experienced, if you don't follow up, you need to be close to the customer, right, to their mind. So wherever they are, they need to make sure, and you need to remind them that you exist. So that's why follow-ups, in my opinion, based on all the campaigns we did, are crucial to having, successful sales cycles. Some people say, okay, follow-ups, the life is short for follow-ups and so on. But I tend to not to agree with this, right? Because I think by providing value with each follow-up, not just reminding people, hey, stuff like, did you think about our proposal? What you think? Did you give up? These sort of questions don't add any value. So if you want to use follow-up, use them to add value. Use them to send them an ebook, to invite them to a webinar, and so on, right? Tell them about new feature that you just released. So stuff like this convert, and I think that really matters. It happened to us when they ask about certain, feature that we don't have, because as you mentioned, we have this sales as a researcher's, let's say, philosophy. We pass the missing features to the product team. So once these features are shipped, we actually follow up with with the customers and say, oh, listen, now this feature is available, and that's a really nice triggering to convert them, to bring them back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and other than that, measuring results. at the end of the day, you want to repeat, what's successful and what it's not. So if something is good, you want to repeat that and to scale it. If something is bad, you want to get rid of it. So I think this eventually creates sort of repetitive tasks that you can implement in your sales process.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Absolutely. I can agree totally to that. Yeah, so maybe because we talked a bit about the research, and I want to dive just quickly into the topic, because how much research should sales do? Yeah, this is I think a topic which comes up quite often for many companies, and as I said, salespeople are on the front. They are probably the two main persons, like customers and potential customers are talking to. From customer success and sales are the two touch points, and from that you can and you should use that for research. I wouldn't say this is their primer the priority on that, because at the end you want to convince the customer from the value of your product, and it's sometimes hard to go like deep, like a real in-depth research, but still you can get so many insights. And for example, we changed the whole structure of our questionnaire for the questionnaire and for the demos, and we ask a lot of questions around how they find us, how, like, what the, as you mentioned, the pain and problem, what role they are, how the team is structured, what is their metric that makes them successful, and so on and so forth, and also what are the missing features from what they heard, and what are the features that are key for them, which they see from the demo. And by seeing that, we can always like link for a certain persona what features, what functionality and benefits Usersnap is providing is working for a certain persona. Also diving into the problem is super interesting, because you have so many demos that you have a really wide variety of insights. What you started, and what I really appreciate a lot, is the kind of, I call it the digestion of the insight. So I saw you regularly like putting together, categorizing, and sharing that knowledge in a digestible way with the rest of the team, with the product managers, with the customer success, and so on and so forth. And this is super helpful in how to find out what are maybe next things we should produce in our roadmap.
Yeah, this is from my perspective, I can say a word like this is crucial because it makes not just my life easier, right? Because if many people complain about and they find one feature that is missing, if we deliver that feature, that means that those people might convert, but also it makes our whole company more aligned on what the customers are saying, and at the same time our product more attractive, right, and more customer centric. So because we want to have that market product fit at all times, right?
Yep.
So that's why, yeah, you're right.
And last but not least, not to mention, I think that sales should definitely also participate in customer interviews. Doing that just really for the purpose of researching, because this helps you to evolve your skills when you're demonstrating the product on the sales demos, etc. Because we mentioned that one of the problems is what are the perfect sales metrics, and I have to say it depends. For us, we scaled it down to the minimum numbers right now, because we are not sure what are the actionable numbers. I don't want to talk about any, let's say, open rates, etc., from any emails you're sending. This is more for me operational numbers, but I'm talking about what are the strategic numbers for sales that you're moving on, that you're progressing. And for us right now, it's more the number of demos and how many conversions do we get from the demos, how much revenue is sales adding right now, and how big is the pipeline of deals we are having for the future, multiplied by the probability. So the typical sales approach we are using currently. There are a lot of other numbers from customer acquisition cost to lifetime, etc. value. We are tracking that. We have that from our tools, but currently there is no direct use in to make it actionable. But this will come. The more you're doing in that area, the more you're using these numbers. For now, it's really MRR, number of demos, number of trial users from the demos, how many customers do you convert pipeline, and how much is enterprisey versus sales self-service prospects. Important for me is always set a goal, so you know where you are heading. If you don't know the goal, you don't know when you're there. And last but not least, I want to quickly mention our tool stack. Currently, we're using Chartmogul and Stripe for all the payment stuff. We have in Close.io as a CRM.
Bless it.
Huh? Yeah. we tried to move away once, but we moved back because following up the email conversation, seeing that in a historical view, it's so amazing. That's so helpful. We have our product database, which is super helpful, and Google Analytics, which is for sales, just from time to time used for certain campaigns. Now let's go to almost the last point, but this is, I think, a super important one. What is the perfect sales demo, Luka?
Yeah, perfect sales demo. 30 minutes, 60 minutes. What is it at all? This topic is super popular. I think like there are thousands and thousands of blogs on this topic. So my first answer regarding this question is like, it depends, right? It depends on the product, on the company, on the target audience. If the product is too complex, if it's high value product, demo is necessary. I mean, how you will sell it. If it's a low value product, probably like Calendly that has maybe you don't need it. In our case at Usersnap, we realized that yes, demo is needed. I mean, I think that you implemented this, right? When you started at Usersnap, before there wasn't like a sales demo button, for example, on the website, but you started implementing that. And what we can see right now out of it, that we have almost double conversion from demos compared to the self-service, correct? I think it's something like that. Mm-hmm. So my opinion is definitely that sales demos are important, and at the same time, listening to your existing customers and customer support team is also important thing to consider here. Why? Because when you are deciding should you have a demo or not, during your user and customer journey, they talk to your team. So they contact customer support and say, this is not clear, or this is clear. What should I do here? What should I do there? If this happens too often, maybe you should include demo in the onboarding. So I think this is something that each company, should really determine for itself, right? I cannot simply say, oh yeah, you should have a demo or not. But in our case, they're super important. When it comes to offering a recorded sales demos, this is something we had in place in the past. We don't have that yet, but I think it's worth, because sales team, salesperson, they don't have unlimited time. We all have like 24 hours a day. So you, at the end of the day, want to focus on giving demos only to the most valuable customers. So the ones, who will go for the enterprise plan or to the highest plan that you have. While on the low value customers, you would love, in a perfect world, to bring them on as a self-service customer, so they can also go over recorded sales demos. So yeah, that's definitely my opinion about sales, recorded sales demos, which we should make, right? We should make that soon, let's say. Regarding the structure of a sales demo for success, Kevin Dorsey, as you know, he helped us a lot with determining the right structure for a sales demo. Just because also, like you mentioned, in the past, I was doing demos, we get on a call and then I just say, hi, how is it going? Where are you from? And then I say, oh, let me show you what we do, right, for you. And this is just a presentation, so it doesn't include any conversation and no active listening. You just throw up everything you know about the product, and that's it. But eventually, the structure of a great sales demo and successful sales demo that we experience it basically should let the customers talk like at least 70% of the time, right? And then you should always ask the right questions. So if we look at the timing, how much time you need for a perfect demo, that should be right let's say it depends on the product, but between 15 and 30 minutes, because if it's longer than 30 minutes, attention span is super low, right? If you have a complex product, then maybe what you can do is organizing 2 calls. So one would be focused, the first one as an introduction discovery call, where you want to dive deeper into the problem. And the second one is more about the presentation of the solution. But the first part of any demo should be problem focused, right? And then when it comes to the reasons why people buy their problem, here you need to identify like 2 to 3 main reasons, right, or main problems you want to solve, and focus on them during the entire demo, because this is what will stick to your potential customer's mind. And at the end of the day, once you show, right, once they understand and once you uncover these problems and provide them these reasons, you should really use the whole process as educational. So not pushing them, but more, reverting back to the problems. Would this help you, solve this problem or not? And when it comes to the end and to the closing of the demo, what we really want to focus on asking for a commitment and agreeing on that. So what I mean by this is, at the end of the call, you don't want to ask, did you like our tool? Do you think it will help you solve this problem? And then they say, oh yeah, it's a nice tool, let us get back to you, or something like that, because they never get back to you. What you want to do here is you want really to dive to ask open-ended questions, use calibrated questions, such as what stood out the most for you, like from what you have seen so far, what concerns you. These sort of questions really encourage conversation and should bring sort of commitment later, right? And yeah, the last thing is follow-up emails. If you want to follow up, like we mentioned earlier, you should do it, definitely. And you should always focus on the problem and educating them during that follow-up until they subscribe.
And for me, was like Kevin Dorsey's video on, which we probably will share on the website. Yeah. It was kind of mind-blowing because it gave me really a clear structure, and it helped us so much, to reinvent our demo, and it feels always like to the point, going away with the problem, and how to circle back, and every customer becomes kind of this individual customer because their problem, which you have somewhere written down. Yeah.
It's easier to track, right? You're excited when you see it works, so that they really come back to you. So yeah, we'll share this with everyone in this video. So if you have like 40 minutes of your time, it's worth watching.
You should. You should.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think we should come slowly to an end, because this time it really went great insights, a lot of content. I think it's almost like for almost 2 episodes, but let's come to a short summary conclusions. What we learned so far is sales should take over as early as possible, as for ideal customers. We also heard salesperson can add a human touch to your SaaS business and help you collect a lot of insights. So it can be worth, even if you are on maybe not an enterprise level, but also on a transactional model, as we heard before.
Yeah, people love that. People love, right, getting that touch and talking to someone.
Following up is essential. We know that not only from our Close.io CRM, where Steli FD is, I think, quite pronouncing that, emphasizing that, but it's also like, especially when you have the problem from the demos in your hand, then it's good to always circle back to the problem, and you can follow up and provide value instead of just following up with like reminders of what do you do now. Yeah. Right. The sales demos should find a gap, kind of what we said regarding the problem, but also the gap, where can your product fit in, and where you can provide value. And I also heard before, measuring results from the sales process and always test is something that can help you to just improve and improve your sales process. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Totally
All the references, as always, can be found on the GroWTF.com website. So it's GroWTF.com. We will provide not only this recording, but also the links we referred to, and maybe some more valuable insights. If you're in the same position right now and you're looking for or you're building your sales process for your SaaS business, let's just tell us what you did, and maybe we want to learn. So we are also always open to have a discussion, conversation. Find us on LinkedIn. Just write us, and we would be happy to learn or share our insights with you. Yeah, I think thanks a lot. It was amazing. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You can do that on iTunes or on the website, as I said before, GroWTF.com. Hear you next episode. Thanks, Luka, for joining. It was amazing.
Thanks, Klaus. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
See you at work. See you at the office.
Absolutely. And now, bye-bye. Have a great day.
Bye-bye, you too.